We've all seen the pictures. 8,000 soldiers, horses, and chariots, each with a unique face, frozen in silt and clay for over 2 millennia. They call it the 8th wonder of the world. But what if I told you this incredible army isn't the main attraction? What if they're just the opening act? These soldiers, every single one of them, are just guards. They stand watch outside the gates of a tomb that has remained sealed for 2,200 years. A tomb that holds China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. So why haven't we opened it? Is it just out of respect for the dead? Or does the Chinese government, and perhaps the world's leading archaeologists, know something that we don't? According to ancient texts, what lies inside that massive, man-made hill isn't just a coffin. It's a miniature replica of the entire world. A detailed map of China where rivers and oceans are made of flowing, toxic, liquid mercury. A ceiling studded with priceless pearls to mimic the stars, sun, and moon. And deadliest of all, a series of mechanical crossbows, primed and ready to fire the moment the doors are breached. Today, we're not just looking at the soldiers. We're going inside the untold records of Qin Shi Huang's final resting place. We're going to explore the chilling reasons why modern science is actually afraid to open it. To understand this tomb, you first have to understand the man who built it. Qin Shi Huang wasn't just building a grave. He was engineering an escape pod from mortality itself. He was the legendary figure who unified China, standardized its language, and built the Great Wall. He conquered warring states and forged an empire. But there was one enemy he couldn't defeat: death. His obsession with immortality was absolute. In one of history's most bizarre quests, he sent fleets of ships carrying 3,000 young boys and girls into the eastern seas to find the mythical elixir of life. They never returned. He ordered the execution of hundreds of scholars who questioned his methods or dared to disagree with him. And then, in a final, desperate act, he began drinking mercury. His court alchemists convinced him it was a liquid silver, a divine substance that would grant him eternal life. It didn't. Instead, it slowly poisoned him, driving him into a state of paranoia and madness. And as his mind decayed, his vision for his afterlife grew more ambitious, more grandiose, and more impossible. Impossible. Our primary source for what's inside comes from a man named Sima Qian, a grand historian writing about a century after the emperor's death. He wasn't an eyewitness, but he had access to imperial records that are now lost to time. And his descriptions paint a picture of things that simply shouldn't have existed in 210 BC. First, the Mercury rivers. Sima Qian wrote that the tomb contains a topographical map of China, with rivers like the Yangtze and the Yellow River recreated using flowing mercury. He claimed they were mechanically circulated to mimic the ebb and flow of real water. For centuries, this was dismissed as a myth, a fantastical legend, until modern science got involved. Archaeologists have tested the soil in and around the burial mound. The results were shocking. Mercury levels were found to be up to 280 times higher than the surrounding area, concentrated in a pattern that roughly matches the layout of China's major waterways. The legend was real. This raises a terrifying question. If the texts are right, there could be hundreds of tons of liquid metals sitting inside that chamber. How is it flowing? Are there ancient pumps still operating after 2 millennia? Or was the design so ingenious that it uses natural principles like gravity and temperature changes to simulate a living, breathing ocean of poison? We simply don't know. Next, the eternal lamps. The ancient texts claim the tomb is illuminated by candles made from whale oil, specifically rendered from the fat of a creature sometimes translated as a man, fish, or mermaid. These lamps were supposedly designed to burn for eternity. Now, eternity is a bit of a stretch, but the science here is fascinating. In a perfectly sealed, oxygen-deprived environment, it's theoretically possible that these flames could have flickered for years, maybe even decades, after the tomb was closed. Imagine the scene. The last artisan, the last supervisor, sealing the final stone, leaving a light on for an emperor who would never wake up. A tomb lit for a ghost, and then there are the crossbows. This isn't an Indiana Jones movie. This is historical record. Sima Qian wrote that craftsmen were ordered to install crossbows and arrows, rigged to shoot at anyone who tried to enter. In the dry, stable, and sealed environment of the tomb, the wooden structures might have rotted, but the bronze trigger mechanisms could remain intact. The tension in those powerful bowstrings could, theoretically, still be lethal today. It's a 2,200-year-old security system. So, this brings us to the big question. We live in the 21st century. We have a ground-penetrating radar, fiber optic cameras, and robotic drills. Why don't we just carefully drill a small hole and send a camera in? Why not just take a peek? The answer is terrifyingly complex. The first problem is preservation. It's what archaeologists call the nitrogen problem. When the terracotta warriors were first unearthed in the 1970s, they weren't the dull, clay-colored figures we see today. They were painted in vibrant purples, brilliant reds, and dazzling greens. But within seconds of being exposed to our modern, oxygen-rich air, the ancient lacquer curled up, flaked off, and the colors evaporated into dust. The shock of exposure destroyed them. Now, imagine that on a grander scale. If we were to open the main chamber, the sudden change in atmosphere could be catastrophic. The emperor's silk robes, the ancient tapestries, the painted walls, and that stunning ceiling of pearls representing the cosmosit could all disintegrate before our cameras could even focus. We would be destroying the very history we seek to uncover. The second reason is even more frightening. The toxic cloud. Opening a room filled with what could be hundreds of tons of liquid mercury is not just an archaeological risk, it is a massive public health and environmental hazard. For 2,000 years, that mercury has been vaporizing in a sealed space. The moment we open that tomb, we could release a massive, invisible cloud of highly toxic mercury vapor into the atmosphere. The tomb isn't just a tomb. It's a 2,000-year-old chemical bomb waiting to go off. But beyond the scientific and environmental dangers, there's a darker, more conspiratorial theory. Some believe the tomb is kept sealed because it contains things that could rewrite Chinese history. Records that might contradict the official narrative, or perhaps evidence of technology and knowledge that was centuries ahead of its time. Think about it. A man obsessed with living forever, who had the resources of an entire empire at his command. What secrets might he have taken with him? Was the emperor buried with the source code of his empire maps, technologies, philosophies that we can't even comprehend? Or is he simply waiting? Ancient legends say that Qin Shi Huang believed he would one day awaken when the stars in the real world perfectly aligned with the pearl constellations on his tomb ceiling. It's a chilling thought. An emperor, not dead, but merely sleeping. For now, the first emperor of China remains undisturbed in his silent, silver world, surrounded by an army that never sleeps. under a sky of pearls that never sets, and protected by an ocean of poison that never fades. The greatest archaeological treasure on Earth lies just a few feet beneath the ground, and yet it remains a complete mystery. Maybe some doors are meant to stay closed,